Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies. Today we're doing episode 6 of the latest season of Masterchef. It's season 15 and it's called Dynamic Duels because pairs are represent a single contestant. So you have married couples, brothers and sisters. They have an aunt and a niece. Originally we thought that was a grandma and a granddaughter. And it's mostly like married couples. And anyway, today they're doing an outdoor group activity, which means it's going to be 2 teams, the blue and the red, of course. And the winners of last week's Masterchef episode, Julio and his wife, they get an advantage, and they get to, and I didn't like this actually, they picked all their teams first. Usually when they pick teams, you alternate back and forth. But they got to pick everybody they wanted on their team, and of course they had to be even, so that wasn't what I'm upset about. But they picked everybody who's actually won, and then if everybody on the other team hasn't won at all. So I didn't think it was fair, and I didn't like it. And actually when that happened, which, you know, to me, that would be logical maybe to do that.
Well, I think
the judges bitched about it and complained.
Well, what would be better is just for them to get to pick the first team. That's it. Like, they get the first pick. Or how about the first pick and the last pick?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, that's what I was thinking. They would get to go first.
Not just like, oh, we get to pick all the people on our team first, so that then everyone else is automatically on the other team, and they all get to feel like they're left out. You know, I don't like that whole team picking thing at all. I prefer it when the judges do that, because I think I don't know, it just I don't like that. It just has a weird, like, old school, like elementary school gym class vibe to it that I don't think is really good for the show. And
I should say where they are. They are out on a pier by the ocean, and the challenge is to make over 100 meals for over 100 fishermen and their families. And so they have to make them a seafood dish. So they this is an interesting thing because they all know their fish, and fishermen are very independent, and so they have their own ideas about things. So it is an interesting crowd. And another thing that came up,
an interesting crowd,
besides being a group challenge and that it was on a pier, is that the weather, which I don't remember ever in any season of anything, Masterchef, whether it be for the kids or for the adults, that there was a weather issue.
Yeah.
And there was a definite rainy, stormy weather problem during the challenge. So
it would go back and forth. It would go from rainy and stormy to sunny and hot, and you know. Well, anyway, so let's get back to what we were talking about instead of jumping ahead. So
that's just the whole thing.
The winning team, they picked a team that was full of quote-unquote winners. And I thought that it was kind of like, I don't know, it was a stupid decision. And they did win the episode, but they barely won. They basically won because the other team just didn't have it together. And they just, you know, they had a terrible, like, communication problem. But they did not win because they did a good job picking their team as captains. They picked a team, and this is what happens when you pick, like, when you have a team of people who all want to be the leader, they all don't know their place. And that's just the blunt way of putting it, because when you're on a team, you have to have the leader, and then you have to have everyone else who knows their place. And if they don't, then they all are trying to, be the leader, and they're trying to do what they want to do. And so as the leader, you have to kind of like shut that down, and you have to make sure that they're all sticking to your vision. And so it wasn't like they picked like a bad team, like it was an automatic like, oh, they're going to lose, but it definitely was the stupid thing to do. So that here we have yet another episode where the people who have the advantage kind of made a dumb decision right off the bat.
And the judges they all commented on this too. Joe said there's no synergy, all egos.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all thinking it might be a recipe for disaster, which it could have been, because they all would want to do things their own way. But let's talk about what they made generally. And what was funny is both teams picked a menu, and they have to make a plate in like a half an hour, and then in an hour the people come to eat. And the judges didn't like either team's menu, which I thought was funny. So anyway, the winning team, it will be, they're making some kind of green avocado sauce, or I don't know, it's a green sauce, and that was the aunt and aunt and the niece made that. Then we had an argument about, a little argument. They wanted to make smoked beans, and a corn salad, and then they would have blackened cod, which would mean they would grill all these pieces of cod. So
that was the first thing that Gordon didn't like. And see,
he had a fit about it.
I liked a lot of the things about this episode because it seemed like they took a look at the format of like team challenges, and they were trying to improve them and not make them so like crappy and shitty. Because like when we watch Masterchef, it's in Hell's Kitchen, every episode they have team challenges, obviously, but in Masterchef, when we watch an episode and it turns out to be a team challenge, we're immediately like, ooh, like I'm not looking forward to that one. It's the team challenge week, and it's just not like exciting because that there's a lot of things that they could improve. But what I liked was that it seems like they tried to improve it, and one of the things was Gordon went to both teams, or it might have been Joe and Gordon, I can't remember, but they tasted their food, they looked at what they were going to make, and they said, nope, don't like that, fix this and fix that. And both teams had to change. And here, Safi can talk about the other things that they changed, but one of the things that I found very funny was that Joe tasted the coleslaw, and he said, this has no flavor, it's pedestrian and boring. And guess who got to make the coleslaw? The vegan girls.
Which they should have been perfect at that. They should be, because they're trying to dress up vegetables all the time and make it interesting. That should have been a snap.
So the fact that like they got treated like children, they got treated like they're special little children who don't have to cook meat. They don't have to do anything hard. All they have to do is make coleslaw, and they still couldn't handle doing that.
Which is, I find that really weird.
What they did to make it not pedestrian is they put Tabasco sauce in it, which I just thought was like, really? Like, because I think about, like, if I got the Raising Cane's coleslaw, or if I got the KFC coleslaw, or had homemade, I would not want to put Tabasco sauce in it.
I know.
Like, that'd be the last thing I want to do.
Yeah. I don't know, but the blue team, which was this team of winners, that
was the red team.
That's the red team. They had wanted to make blackened cod.
Yeah.
And due to the weather, and the temperature in the grill, if anybody out there knows about grilling, if it's the temperature turns cool or there's a change in temperature, that can affect the time it takes to cook the food. And so they had to make over 100 pieces of cod on the grill, and that's why Chef Gordon said no.
Chef
You should have fried, deep fat fried, I guess, all of it. Then you wouldn't have had to worry about the weather.
Chef Garden?
And it was definitely.
Who's Chef Garden?
I mean, the episode started out a little cloudy, not that bad, and then they had a full-on rainstorm, and then they ended it in sun. So it would have affected the cook. And then they had to make a corn salad, and they had a problem with that. They were going to run out of corn, and the thing at Tiffany, I haven't really cared for the things she said so far, but she was very helpful in this episode. She said, if you don't make more corn right now, you are not going to have enough at the end, and yet that would be the difference between winning and losing. And she was totally correct.
So I think
like
that. Yeah, I think that Tiffany, she's stronger when she's in her element, like where she's in an environment like this, where you can see what she would be like at her restaurants probably. But when she's trying to play judge in the regular Masterchef kitchen, that's when she's not as good. Because that's when she's like, it's like she's trying too hard. And so actually, she was really good this episode.
Yeah. She made a lot of really good comments.
Gordon and Joe. Yeah, Gordon and Joe, though, they like to just stand around and be like, well, that's not going to work out. Well, I don't like what they're doing. They're making things the way that it's not going to work. They're going to lose. And Joe's like, I don't like that. That's not going to be good. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. And that's like what they do the whole episode. And then what Tiffany does is actually... And I like it when they actually go up to the people and help them instead of just standing back and being like, I don't like that. That's not going to work out.
Really, I know. And so truthfully, I really did like her. I liked her better in this episode than I've liked her in any of the others.
Yeah. Now, what about the coleslaw team? What did they have to change?
Now, the coleslaw team had to change... they had to change the slaw, obviously, and they had to change their potatoes. They had wanted to make sweet potato fries, but Gordon came up and he said that, when they, in his restaurants, when they had worked with sweet potato fries, that the cook was hard to manage because it was never the same. And you never knew what was going to happen.
He said what they do is they steam them and then they fry them. And I thought it kind of surprised me, but it kind of doesn't because sweet potatoes, they are kind of a bitch. I mean,
and they're hard to cut.
Yeah, especially when you cut them, it's like you're really battling the potatoes. But
because they're hard.
But then I couldn't even imagine making fries out of them. And another thing he said was like, "This is not a healthy challenge." And that was just his nice way of saying, like, look, these are fishermen. They don't care about eating healthy. They don't care about having a light meal. And one of them even said, I was out fishing all day. I was out working all day.
Yeah.
I want to have a big meal that tastes good. I don't care about having something healthy right now. And, that's exactly like whenever we go out to film... Because now I've done a 7 days worth of 10 to 11 hour filming days. In terms of snacks, it is a good idea probably to eat a healthy option because you don't want to get tired out and you don't want to get bloated or just feel tired. But in terms of food, in terms of lunch and or dinner, you just want to eat something good. Because it just, to go home after, filming for, 10 hours and then you cook, a salmon dinner, it's maybe that would be ideal, but it just doesn't work. It just doesn't happen. That's why with police officers, they'd be eating all those donuts and shit. they eat all that fast food and the donuts and shit because they're working nonstop.
Yeah. So anyway, what happened with the red team, which was the team that didn't have quote winners?
No, the red team was the one that had the winners.
Okay, the blue
Excuse
team. It didn't just had everybody else. Nobody who had won so far.
God, Safi.
Ryan Kate.
She struggled the whole episode.
She struggled the entire episode, and they kept getting after her more and more, and they acted like they were short-handed.
Yeah.
Like, let's say, in the past, when they've had these team challenges, they might be minus 3 or 4 people, and the other team would have all those because they had won. But they were evenly numbered, and I don't know what it was. The divorced couple, of course, was on this team. And then they had the team from South Dakota.
The vegan team.
I don't know. No, they're not vegan.
Yeah, the vegan was
the
vegan
blondes.
team. The vegan team was on the blue team.
Yeah, they
Safi.
were. Well, they had them, and
It was the vegans, the blonde girls, and Ryan, Kate, and Kayla, and the newlyweds. The divorced couple was not on their team.
Yes, they were.
No,
they
they
weren't.
weren't.
Anything.
They were on the red team.
I don't think so, Mark.
I don't even know where they were. That was one thing. I didn't see or notice them the whole episode. I forgot they even existed.
I know. They didn't really show them. That's why we didn't even know what they did.
Which was great, because I don't like them. So, not having to suffer through seeing them.
They were on that losing team.
I don't think so.
Well, you check, but anyway.
You check.
I think so.
You check, because you only watched it once this time, so you can't. But here's the thing. Ryan Kate, she was doing everything. She did the fish. There was one time where Gordon came up to her and he helped her flip the fish because she was very anxious and she was having a very hard time. And see, this is where I do not like the newlywed couple captains at all because they were horrible.
Well, they didn't. Well, the other teams complained about it. They weren't communicating.
Yeah, they didn't communicate and they didn't help. They didn't help them at all.
And they said that's what they were going to do. They told the judges that. Because they said, well, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh, we're going around and working as needed or something like that.
But the whole episode, Ryan Kate was getting trashed on. And instead of going over there and helping her and being like, no, this is what you do. No, don't do that like that. Do it like this. They never went up to her and helped her at all.
All he did was yell. Ryan Kate, Ryan
Ryan Kate can't do it. Ryan Kate isn't doing it well. And they just said, oh, make the chips more crispy. Make the chips crispier. Oh, that wasn't done right. But they never went up to her. And I get that, it is Masterchef and people, they're going to fail if they're going to fail.
This is a team, though.
This is a team challenge. So it's their responsibility as leaders to go up to them and tell them what to do. That's the whole point of being on a team. You don't just be on a team so that you can stand around and complain like you're a judge or something. So I hated them. I thought they were horrible. They're probably some of the worst team captains I've ever seen on MasterChef history. On all of MasterChef.
No, they were just like statues.
They were
I don't
awful.
even know what they did. I didn't see them do anything.
I didn't either.
That's what I mean. The team acted like they were short-handed,
yeah.
And they weren't. I don't even know what the blonde girls, the South Dakota ladies,
they did the onion rings. Remember,
they
decided
changed that.
They had to make a change. They had to add onion rings onto the sandwich too, to add a texture.
Which I didn't.
And so
I would not care for that.
That's what the blonde girls had to do, and they didn't have a problem the whole episode. And then
no, not at all.
But the vegans, I think that they were the weak link. I think that they should have been doing more.
You say they're not. If they are, though, I don't even know what they did. I have no idea what they were doing.
Because someone should have helped Ryan Kate.
Instead of just dumping on her the entire. So anyway, Ryan Kate ended up. I thought, well, maybe she's pregnant because I just thought,
Safi.
Or if it was really, really hot, just there's a number, or she's ill. Has the flu.
No, she was dehydrated. They said that she was dehydrated.
Well, whatever. She passed out. And so both that team has had now. First, the other girl hurt her, sliced off the tip of her thumb.
She also sliced off her index finger tip.
Hurt her index finger and is working with a heavy bandage. And then you have Ryan Kate, who, I don't know, was completely stressed out and passed out, cold.
Well, it's funny because they are good for reality TV in terms of that, because like you think about, ooh, that brings people to watch. Like, oh, she passed out, she cut her fingers, like, ooh, that's reality TV. But I hope they don't go home, because I think that,
not yet anyway. I don't know if they're gonna.
To be honest, I don't think they should have had a pressure challenge. I think they should have just eliminated the captains right off the bat.
Well, and I thought maybe they would, but they've already planned it. But what Marco is talking about is, you know, that if you watch Masterchef, they have this, they call it the dreaded pressure test.
Safi, that was another thing, by the way. Those fucking pieces of shit captains, they said this isn't Masterchef Junior anymore. And it's like, well, you're the fucking team captain, so why don't you go over and help the fucking Masterchef Junior former contestant? Like, that's what I was saying. Like, they were acting like they were judges or something, just standing around criticizing.
They weren't supposed to be. They even said that. Like I said, they told the judges they were supposed to be going to the different stations, you know, like people making the slaw, people making potatoes, people making the onions, people making the fish, and help when needed. And they didn't do that, as far as I could see. They never did that. But the thing is, they lost. And now this is a 2-part episode. So next week, the losing team has to do the dreaded pressure test. And the losers will go home. So the other team, since they won, they don't have to participate. They'll be upstairs watching. So the next week, I guess, will be the whole thing. Will be this pressure test.
And I don't like that. I just... Because there's no point. Like, I mean, the captains need to go home. Like, they were awful. They were the worst. They were the worst part of the whole episode. And then the red team, they did have some issues, but not really. Not as much as the blue team. Like, they had issues once in a while, but they did not have as many issues as the blue team. Like, the blue team, clearly, you knew they were going to lose the whole episode. One of the vegan girls, she even started crying and, you know, acting like a little wuss and saying, "Oh no, we should have communicated. We should have communicated. I need to go drink my soy latte."
Well, whatever, they're not going to last, because it's just not right that they would. Not because they're vegan, because they can't. This isn't a vegan show. In other words, they have to know how to cook other dishes. That's just the way it is.
I don't know. I didn't like the fact that they were put on the coleslaw, because I think it sent like a message that like they're special and they get to, you know, work with vegetables and everyone else has to, you know, work with meat.
Well, I guess they were thinking that would give them a strength because they knew all they know is vegetables.
But it didn't.
But it didn't help at all.
Yeah.
Because he criticized them right away.
That was the first thing he criticized.
That's right.
So the blue team lost, obviously, and I think it's unfortunate because honestly, like, I've had fish tacos before. I do kind of like fish tacos. Safi does not like them. But I do. Like, there was one time we went to this Mexican restaurant in the Midwest, and I got fish tacos. Just because, you know, I was like, I kind of like to have a fish taco. I never get to have them at home. So,
and that's weird, too, because out of all the places to have a fish taco, but I mean,
they weren't great.
Trout.
They weren't great.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Because they didn't have very much flavor. And, you know, I think that tacos are really overrated. Because there's not as much flavor unless you put things on top of them. Unless you add things to them. But if you just have them like how they give them to you, they're really, really boring.
Okay, Okay, well, so
What?
I don't know what else to say about the episode. I didn't care for it.
I actually kind of liked it because I thought that they did a lot of things to try to improve.
Well, yeah.
Safi didn't even mention what.
I agree with that, but I just didn't like this thing, having it a 2-part episode so quickly, and it's gonna and then I don't like the fact that they let them pick all those winners.
But you haven't said something that you did like, and you talked all about it for like an hour beforehand.
Well, I told you I did like the things that Tiffany said this time, which I haven't liked anything. I haven't liked any of the episodes she's been on, really.
You're forgetting something.
I thought she did really good.
You're forgetting something.
Okay, well, at the end...
Yeah.
And this is 15 seasons we've seen. Plus the kids, but the kids thing, that's always treated a little bit differently because you're dealing with children and you're not going to destroy them or try to and sometimes the adults, they can get so mean. They practically absolutely reduce you to the ground.
That's our job, though, because we're mean to the kids.
But what they did was, you had the fishermen, they got a buoy, and they put it in a red bin or a blue bin as to which was their favorite food, because they get to try both of their dishes. And so, like, they picked the red team, and then what they did though this time, which I've never seen them do, is on the comment cards or the comments, I don't know if there were cards, they made criticisms and they told them what they didn't like about their meal, which I thought was very helpful. And it might have been a little embarrassing, but still, I thought it was very helpful because this isn't going to be the only team challenge that they do. They'll probably have 1 or 2 more. And I thought it was helpful. They told them what was wrong with their food. And it seemed like, wasn't it mainly about the potatoes?
I don't know.
They were soggy or they weren't crisp enough.
But it was great that they had that because, it was great that they knew specifically why they lost.
Right.
Because, like, in the past, sometimes when these teams have lost, it's felt kind of vague. Like, that. Yeah. It's like you want to have the feedback and you want to be able to improve. And, I think Joe took it a little too far because he was like, personally, I think that from the very beginning you guys were going to lose because you suck and your dish sucked. And then the execution sucked too. And oh yeah, I'm not even a chef, I'm a restaurateur. That's what he should have said.
So anyway, that was the episode, and it set me off the wrong way to have that team pick all those good winners. When they usually go back and forth and make a choice, even though I don't like that, it has the elementary school picking thing where you leave people off and pick the most popular people. Yeah. I never liked that.
I give the episode a B+ though, because I enjoyed it.
C+.
Oh.
It just set me off wrong. Although I like some of the other things that they did, and then but I didn't like that captains. I think they should have just been eliminated there, and they shouldn't even have pressure test. I mean, they're going to have one, and at least one for the season. But why do they have to have it now? Because the fault was, I thought, the team captains, and they should have been eliminated and not have a pressure test next week. So that's another thing. And just you had that I thought that overrode all the positive things. And I wish Tiffany was more when they're back in the Masterchef kitchen, that she was more like she was when they were doing the team challenge, because it's kind of like an active participant role. Instead of just standing back and making judgments on people, you're kind of like actively participating and like being part of what's going on.
You can do both. That's what being a judge is for. Because on some level, you do have to step back and just be a judge. But on the other hand, I think that the guys, they do it a little too much. And, all Gordon does is just go up to them and complain about them to their faces. Like, he'll just go up and be like, "This is a dog's dinner!" And he just throws the meat. That's what Safi said. She's still mad about that. Like, he picks up the meat and throws it. Like,
yeah.
"This isn't good enough for a dog's dinner!"
And
he just throws it.
When they served the soccer teams, whatever, I can't remember, it was
He
last
kicked
year.
it.
He kicked the
That was queer.
the meat.
That was like him trying to show off that, like, even though he failed at being a soccer player,
Well, he got injured.
well, he failed. He wouldn't have been a good soccer player anyway.
Well, I don't know about that.
I do.
No, you don't.
I
You
do.
don't know anything about it.
I know all about soccer.
No, you don't. He's lying. Well, that's not true. He did do a little bit of soccer.
I know all. And I didn't just do soccer. I did British soccer. I did a British soccer camp, and I have the certificate to prove it.
That was really good. They were really nice people. Very nice people.
And we did it in the field next to the community pool, which was strange. Like, they had this big field, and we did it in the field next to the pool. I thought that was funny.
Yeah. So that's it. So if you like this episode, give it a thumbs up and become one of our subscribers.
So I could probably beat Gordon at British soccer,
Oh, Marco, please stop.
I probably could. I just need a little G Fuel, and I'd be good to go.
I think you need a little more than that. So anyway, that's it. So goodbye, everybody.
Bye.